Yesterday you gave a saying that ended with, and if you sign your name, don't be surprised. I was wondering if you could repeat that and give a little more of an explanation, and then sign your name.
So the saying was, if you think it, don't say it. If you say it, don't write it down. If you write it down, don't sign your name. If you sign your name, don't be surprised. Right? But it's simply, speaking about like a stark reality of living in a totalitarian country, right? Like that everything you say can be used against you. But I used that in this context. It was more about the way in which we layer one reaction on top of another, right? So I'll go back to the original sort of example, right? There's some restlessness in the body experienced, and then the sort of another layer is kind of resisting it, right? And then once we resist it, then maybe there's another layer of acting on it, right? Which means, okay, I'll just leave it. I just go. And then another layer comes in, which is like feeling guilty about following that, right? So there's like cascades of different reactions within our systems to different very simple occurrences, right? There's restlessness, and it's like, oh, there's nothing in the restlessness itself, you can say, the sort of raw experience of it that calls for anything. But there is like a conditioning that we have, which sometimes it's still like biological, right? Like if you recoil when you feel something unpleasant, or you that's natural. So in a way, we have those reactions, but then we kind of add secondary reaction, and then third, and it's kind of like so at each step, if you can just stop and be with that, that's great. And if it's not possible, that's great too, because you don't need to another layer of judging for not being able. Yeah. Right. So it was just about commenting on that kind of cascade of reaction that can happen when we work. They are learned also, right? They are learned from our caregivers, from our peers. Just learn different reactions, or internalizing different attitudes towards emotion or towards something. So simply by at whichever, right, like if you resist the restlessness, don't resist the resistance, right? Because it's just adding more kind of internal conflict into it. And we just sometimes it's a matter of like I think Adyashanti was saying that it's like say yes to no, right? You just if there is some huge no within yourself, like if you start like, oh my god, I shouldn't be feeling that, right? That's just another no added to that no. So in a way, just learn to say yes to no. Okay, I'm resisting. All right, how does it feel? Just kind of at whichever layer we are able to kind of just stop the chain of reaction that kind of just can continue indefinitely, right? It can just roll for a long while. Some people are like literally angry about something that someone said to them 20 years ago. I know plenty of. I can think of plenty of examples, right? So it's like in a certain way, there's like chain reactions, like karma, the sort of patterns of mind habits work in those kind of cyclical almost reactions. So at any of those stages we can see that cyclical nature and or like domino effect of it, and just like stay with whatever is and kind of give it permission, that's in a certain way ending that one domino effect of reaction. So
Thank you.
I want to thank you for this morning's meditation. It was extremely profound what you pointed to. The thing about each sensation, each point of sensation containing all other sensations. I kept exploring with that, and I saw that it's not just sensation, it's each point of experience that contains all other points of experience. And I stayed with that until it was like mandalas revealing how literally every experience in the world, every experience in the cosmos is contained within each experience. It's hard to explain, but something like the one is all is the one and the one is the all. It was like through that what you pointed to, it was just like a gateway to that. And yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure if you're familiar. There's this concept, but it is like an image that points to something. It's the Indra's net, which in I guess Indian philosophy, it's this. It's, let's say, it's a net, like as if you had a spider web, and at every intersection there is like a droplet, let's say, of dew, right? And each droplet reflects all other droplets, right? So it's something like that. And those are like yeah, this is like some sort of like feels like sound mechanics that it's not necessary for like regular functioning. So we kind of like more narrow our focus to like the locality and mapping of everything in 3D space and but there's definitely possibility of kind of allowing that mapping to kind of be let go of, and then what kind of starts being revealed is
And with that, it kind of leads into what you were talking about in your talk, because with that came such a profound sense of just love for everything, both future and past, and which was all here in this one moment. It's like all there, which was it's just love.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you also for the talk. It was really nice to be reminded of like what this is all essentially about. Like sometimes, as you say, it can get a bit much about like analyzing and dissecting, which is also great. But remembering when it comes down to it, it's all about the love.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nisargadatta Maharaj, who he was this powerful, dynamic teacher who was just like, some of his discourses are just so masterful in some way, but one of the most powerful lines for me that he delivered was just this little 2-sentence thing. He said, in my world, love is the only law. I don't ask for love, I give it. It kind of like just summarizes something so well. In my world, love is the only law. I don't ask for love, I give it.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I said at the beginning, silence is golden, so don't feel any pressure.
wondering if you could help me with the no, as it were. Yesterday was a really difficult day, or it felt difficult at least, experientially. The contraction was really difficult to be with, the no was difficult to be with. And it was all I could do just to sit with it. The day after your talk, there was a softening and a sense of ease that I could again be with this contraction. And it does come across as a no, very much so. The mind, I guess, wants to know what's beyond the no. Yesterday there was a huge amount of what I would describe it as terror. There was a colossal sense of fear that I didn't have the resources to be with this, that it was somehow that I was going to burn up in it, as it were, and just a tremendous. I actually wanted to leave the retreat. It was that bad. I wanted just to run. I know they sell beer up at the shop. I was just. There was this fleeting moment where I thought, I'm going to go and buy a 4-pack of Coors and demolish it. It didn't last. It was just very brief. But I guess there's the question arises. Firstly, what's beyond the no? How do I feel like I want to say man up and tough it out, as it were. You have any advice for when it gets difficult?
Let's say experientially, how is there any content related? Is there any let's say if you would try to tell the story of the no, like what's its biggest fear, or like what is it protecting from?
I've often asked that. I think when I first asked this question, I came up with the fear of death, the fear of disappearance, the fear of not existing. I would say that a more nuanced approach would be like a fear of not being seen or recognized as an entity. I've explored death, and I don't really feel that I'm afraid of death, as in death of the body, as it were. So if you said to me I had to, was in a war zone, for example, and I'd be scared probably, but I wouldn't I'm sure I would be able to overcome the fear of running towards the gun emplacement if I had to. It's more of a sense of like disappearance or not being recognized, not being seen. I was lucky enough to attend the deep dive session in Santa Monica with Angelo and James McCleary. And one of the things that came up there was we were talking about emotions. We were talking about the work documentary. And one of the things that became clear is a lot of the inmates and others were coming up with tremendous amount of anger. And one of the things that occurred to me while we were talking, while this was being discussed, was at least I don't have any anger. And then the penny dropped that I actually did have a lot of anger. And subsequently I ended up screaming at James McCleary. It was like his face was this far apart. And the words that came out of my mouth were, see me. Like I wanted to be seen, validated, recognized. And I think that deep down inside, that is my probably the greatest fear, albeit it doesn't manifest as a thought in that way when I get really close to this no, when I sit with this no. It just seems like a perpetual barrier of like, I liken it to sitting by a door, leaning against a door, and it just won't open. If it were to open, I would vaporize, disappear. I want someone to open the door. Does any of that make any sense?
Sure.
But it's very young. It's very primal, sort of early energy. It's not very clear. There's very little thinking that comes up during this process. It's just like, at times it's like sitting in a fire, you know, and the urge to escape is sometimes too much. Feels too much.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely like a very early or primal thing, right? Like in a certain way, just even going to like a sort of baby stage, right? Like not being heard or seen or remembered means dying literally, right? Because there's a time in our life where we can't even, can't anything really, right? It's all dependent on someone else doing for us. So in a certain way, that, abandonment or being forgotten or not seen is in a certain way like fear of kind of annihilation in some way, right?
Yeah, right. It does feel that way.
Yeah.
And
there might be also this another component to it of, like this just tied in. Those things are not kind of separate, but also like this sort of identity piece, right? Like on one hand, I mean, the identity almost feels like it needs, like this whole system needs that agent for survival, and then feeling that stops being in the driver's seat, and it's kind of more and more losing its power. It also just makes it, just be, just feeling terror, right? Like it in a certain way, from the point of view of separate self, like awakening or liberation is annihilation, right? So some structures sense it a little bit, kind of intuitively feel it more or less, but still there is like this, this kind of paradoxical relationship with that whole the whole project of seeing clearly that sometimes I for some reason it's really for me what really kind of captures a little bit of that whole thing is the Lord of the Rings thing, when Frodo is going to destroy the ring, right? And it's kind of like becoming all like it's the greatest burden. He wants to throw it away,
right.
but
part of him wants to throw it away, and the other part doesn't want to get rid of it. Yeah,
and it's almost like there has to be some third force that comes into play, because just at this moment, it's just like you just the greatest burden, but you can't kind of put it down, right? So in the same way, the identity structure is the thing that kind of propels us to some degree to explore this whole thing and see beyond its own limits. But at the same time, it's just, if it kind of gets the taste of it, it's terrified, right? Because then it's like, oh, there's no room for me there.
Yeah. Do you know? Right. Do you know what this means? If that, there's this tremendous sense of wanting to willfully let go, surrender. Said, right, I've had enough now. I'm done. I'm all done with this shit.
Yeah.
I want to. I'm ready.
Yeah.
How much more do you want me to be ready?
Yeah.
And
but at the same time, it's like, the way beyond is always through. I mean, there is no escape in a way.
Is there a way of getting even more intimate with that no?
Yeah, sure, but it's in a way, but not wanting it to be gone as soon as possible, right?
Right.
Like because that part, let's say, that wants to be like it's all, you know, it's
That's
all
part of the
entangled, right?
resistance, I guess, isn't it?
Sure.
Wanting it to be gone is part of the
Yeah,
resistance.
because it's uncomfortable, right? So
Yeah.
of course there will be some little part that kind of just want to have it done with, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, as you said, it's almost feels like there is a part that just really, its biggest fear is not to be seen, right? But in a certain way, the question you brought is, how do I see beyond that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's why we're all here, really, isn't it, in a way?
That's true, but that part wants to be seen.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the problem, isn't it?
You know, it's not a problem. It's only a problem if you make it into a problem.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So if that part wants to be seen, like, there is a way in which you need to honor that too. Right? You need to just kind of, you know, in whatever way you can, just be with it and let it know. It's like, okay, I see you. It makes total sense that you are so afraid not to be seen. It makes perfect sense, you know.
Yeah.
And just let yourself be like a safe space in which that part can be held, and not with this sort of, you know, to the degree that it's possible, without that kind of corrupting agenda of like, hey, I'll give you a little bit of attention, but if only you go as soon as possible, right?
Right.
Because then it's like,
Yeah.
that energy almost like feels that kind of, you know, it's not honest in some way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think yesterday the intensity was because there was this incredible, almost like a feedback loop of saying, okay, well, it feels a bit fiery today, so I really want it to be gone.
Yeah.
Which is like turning up the gas and making it even hotter.
Yeah.
Whereas
which
today,
means I don't want to see it.
I don't want to
It
see
is saying I want to be seen, and you're saying I don't want to see you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see that this morning was going down the same road, and then there was the talk that you gave, which was brilliant. Thank you. And I was able to, by lunchtime, I headed out on a run, and there was this, I could feel this ease. There was an ease that I was able to meet. I mean, this is all very difficult to describe because it's very experiential.
Yeah.
And words almost destroy it in some way. But the experience of it was quite pleasant in a way, you know. But it's there all the time, kind of dictating, calling, beckoning. Look at me. Sometimes I have the courage to be with it. Other times I want to run. As I say, I'm not sure that there's a clear answer, but I guess patience and love and acceptance.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, it's simply, I just want to go back to something that you said, and it's you know, it might be just picking at words, but it's sometimes, you know, those are like subtleties that tell something. When I said that this, you know, this wants to be seen, and yet your question is how to see beyond that. You said, but we are here. That's what we are here for. Everybody, all of us are here for that, to go beyond that, right? But in a way, we are here to be right here with anything that is, right? So this beyond movement is one of the kind of little sicknesses of you know, the seeking mind that wants better version of that, right? That the sort of awakening or liberation is in its projection is the best possible version of this, this is kind of crappy, but we'll get to something that's
Gotcha.
really awesome.
It's just, yeah, it's part of the wanting to polish the persona, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
wanting something better for the individual.
yeah,
Mm.
but it's by being with whatever is, without a push and pull, like that sort of acceptance is what and it's not to say that things are not getting they don't come to completion within us, or they don't heal, but it's even to kind of set the attitude of, okay, let's heal this thing. It's already, it's right, it has this seed of, let's love it to death, let's just obliterate it with kindness, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, rather than that, treating this energy like your own child, right? If your own child would come to you and say like, hey daddy, I feel like you don't see me, it's like you then say like, okay, right, I'm going to grab my beer for a run. There is a way in which we can embrace that and just let it know that we are here to see it, see its truth, because there's a seed of truth even in every delusion, right? There's a seed of, there is time in our life, right, where not being seen feels absolutely threatening.
Yes. It feels very early,
Yeah.
or how do they describe it? Pre-verbal.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it. That's the best guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know, of course.
Yeah. So it's almost like, giving its own kind of credit, like saying, all right, it's true. There were times where not being seen could be catastrophic, and also letting it know, and right now I see you, I see this part of myself, and I'm willing to be here with that, without hope for any other future, but just like without any agendas, just to be with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. High budget production.
You what?
You looked at the mic, so I'm just letting you know we're high budget production here.
I wonder what it is. I'm not sure why I'm sitting here. Except that I kind of want to describe where I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I think where I am as a result of what happened last night. I was sitting meditating, actually upstairs, and I was noticing the cars going by, the vehicles. And I was feeling the pushing on those cars. And the way I drive, I push the car. I don't just drive the car. Because that's how I live most of my life, actually, is pushing. I've been working on that for years, but still, it's some like really basic place, like some really deep down place. It's like I have to push against life. I have to struggle against life to make it work. I know that's an illusion, but that's what I've been doing my whole life. It's what my family does. It's like everybody in my family. I'm sitting here now and I'm just like totally depleted It's like there's nothing left. And that's why I'm surprised I'm sitting here, because there wasn't even really a desire to. I'm not trying to go anywhere anymore. There's just like no point anymore. So I'm feeling very empty, which I'm okay with everything that I'm feeling. I'm just feeling really depleted. Like there ain't much push left.
Which in a way, that's not a bad place to be, right? Because if we want to stop, and that's, if I recall correctly, it's another like Adyashanti story. He used to say that there are two ways for different people to make them stop, right? Some people are running or passing by, and you tell them, "Hey, why don't you just stop?" And then they can stop. And then there's another type of people, myself included, that you're running, and someone is telling you, "Hey, you should stop. You don't need to push. You don't need to strive," right? And then you say like, "I don't have time for that. I need to get to where the whole thing called rest is," right? So then the person would tell you, "All right, that's great. So I know where the rest is. You have to run 10 miles straight, and then you'll turn the corner, run another 10 miles, then turn another corner, run another 10 miles, and another corner, and you have to run another 10 miles. And then you'll find the stop." And the person runs. It's so exhausted.
I know that gig.
Yeah. So it's like if you're like just totally depleted and just like have no strength for pushing anymore, there's opportunity to actually let yourself just completely rest. Just completely let everything go, and also you can tune into that quality that is actually everywhere, right? The sounds. Do you need to push the sound? Right? Do you need to push the color? Do you need to push the sensation? There's just nothing needs any push. And just like we were talking with Ben, you can also say to that part of yourself, "Good job." You achieved some things in life thanks to that whole thing. And, some of it maybe came from your family or, whatnot. So you can also, thank that and just let it rest. Let the whole project of life. That's literally what this whole thing is about. Just comfy couches. There's, it's nothing rushing us. There's nowhere to go, no one to be, nothing to attain. It's just simply to kind of rest the case. And you can always, get a reminder from the sense fields.
Reminder of what?
Pardon?
What do you mean a reminder?
Reminder of that rest. Because there's absolutely zero effort in sounding, in coloring, in sensing. Even if they are dynamic fields, they're at utter rest.
Well, I'm feeling very porous.
Mm.
And yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you have 2 weeks of vacation in front of you. Nothing planned.
You know, I've never taken a month like this before in my life. No, it's not true. I did it once when I was 28, just a long time ago. It's terrifying, actually, in some ways. The emptiness of it.
Yeah.
And the quiet is both, the silence is both sweet and overwhelming at the same time. But you know what? My lower legs are finally relaxed. They've been talking to me for quite a long time when I sit and meditate. Maybe it's because my feet don't hit the floor here. I'm sorry. I don't know, something's happening. But I don't really know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, sometimes our minds won't like to know. But the whole system, it's like, it's like falling off a cliff, right? No knowledge required.
That's what I feel like right now, actually. Like I'm falling somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just let yourself fall. And not even, and even some grasping for air. It's fine. It's just because we are so used to using our legs, right, for walking, and now there's just this free fall. So there is little kind of disorientation or sense of like it's odd to have no project to kind of push forward for, or just explore that free fall.
It's funny because before this, I mean, it's a humorous statement, before this started, because this is like a long process, but before this started where I am right now, that's what I was afraid of. But I don't really have any fear right now, which I'm surprised. And you're going to have to tell me when to leave this chair. Because I have no...
You're in free fall.
You're right.